Welcome to the Birding for Joy podcast, a show about discovering and exploring all the ways birding and wild birds bring joy into our lives. Throughout Season 4, we'll be focusing our attention on simple actions we can take in our daily lives to help birds and nature. I'm Candy Lynn Fight, your gracious host and joyful birder. If you're curious about learning how you too can live a bird-friendly lifestyle, grab your favorite beverage, settle on your perch, and let's get into today's episode. Greetings, dear listeners. If you've listened to the show before, welcome back. If this is your first time tuning in, I am so happy you're here. I hope this episode finds you all happy and healthy and finding precious moments to venture outdoors and spend time with the birds. Did you know that, like coffee, cocoa also has a huge impact on wild birds? Today, y'all are in for a sweet treat. We're speaking to Bryony Angel about bird-friendly cocoa, chocolate, and maple syrup. Bryony Angel is a writer and speaker covering birding culture and economic choices that benefit wild bird conservation. Welcome to the Birding for Joy podcast, Bryony.
Thank you.
We're so happy to have you here. Could you possibly tell the listeners maybe a little bit about your background and how you got into birding?
Certainly. So I'm a second generation birder. My parents are both birders, and I grew up birding from infancy. My parents would bird. They do bird on New Year's every year up in the Skagit Valley, where I now live in Washington State, and it's a draw for winter birds like swans and snow geese. And so that particular tradition was an annual thing, and then over time I caught on to it as a young adult, and then really got into it in my 20s, and have been pursuing it in a professional capacity since my late 30s. I recognized a vacuum in birding media for information that I wanted to read about. The more cultural angle of birding, not so much the scientific write-ups about birds or the reports of studies or that sort of thing. I wanted to read about the people who were in the community and what they were doing, and especially women, and especially younger people, and especially non traditional birders. So people younger, more diverse, more urban, mothers, just any group that was not visibly represented in most birding media. So I sought to fill that gap, and that's what I've been doing since, well, gosh, I guess a dozen years now in various media, from online to print to podcasts, and now I've added speaking to that as well. So I speak to Audubon chapters, both in person and remotely, and at birding festivals about various topics in birding culture. Yeah.
That is wonderful. I actually did read your article that you wrote. Was it titled Birding Like a Mother?
Yeah, bird like a mother, and
Bird like a
that
mother.
that is intentional. It's to suggest the expletive that comes after,
Yeah.
and it's that is an emphasis on our passion for birding. So yeah, that's something, and one of the topics I write about. And I have a great group of mother birders in community, and let me emphasize that particular angle is, we're not interested in educating children about birding. Birding is for us, and we were all birders before we were mothers, and now we're mothers and caregivers, and we want a place in the birding community that is designed by people who don't have caregiving responsibilities. And so if they want the progenitors of future conservationists to feel like we're still welcome in the birding world, they got to make space for us. So that's what that's all about.
Yes,
Yeah.
I totally agree. I think about the birding walks. I've only been on a few that are big groups. I'm very much a solo birder, mostly because I live out in the rural area of Texas and I don't know a lot of other birders that are in my local community. So the birding walks that I have been on are in Houston. And to be honest, I can't even imagine a mother with like a stroller or babies that went on the walk with us. I mean, I just think that the rest of the group would have been like, what are you doing here? Why are you here?
Your children are making noise. But as a mother of two daughters and now a grandmother, there needs to be a space for people like us as birders.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I'm glad that resonates with you. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
a whole another topic. I have spoken about that on podcasts, American
yeah,
Birding
yeah.
Podcast, and but I know
And
today we're here to talk about
yeah,
chocolate,
we're,
bird friendly
we're here to talk about
chocolate.
chocolate. I'll have to have you back on in this future because I would love to explore that topic. So let's dive into the world of bird friendly chocolate. How did you discover bird friendly chocolate and cocoa? And then why or how did you become an advocate for bird friendly chocolate and cocoa?
Yes. So I became involved with Bird Friendly, the coalition. It's a group of people who are part of the Smithsonian's Bird Friendly certification program and or interest group, because Bird Friendly only certifies coffee and now cocoa. But there are lots of people interested in promoting bird friendly, economically viable trade or agricultural enterprises. So I've been a part of that. Gosh, maybe 6 or 7 years, and I can't recall exactly how I got involved. I think I was invited to be on the coalition because of something I'd written. It was through the bird world that I became involved with sitting on the coalition from the journalistic perspective. So I was interested in promoting bird friendly through writing about it to mainstream media. And so that's how I got involved. They had meetings before the pandemic, and then come pandemic, things kind of quieted down. But I started pulling together materials to promote bird friendly. I was especially interested in cocoa. At the time, it wasn't certified, but it was the next commodity that was up for certification. And so when it finally was certified in February of 2023, I was excited to then, put pen to paper and publish something saying, okay, it's official. Let's go. And so from that moment on, I've been really visible with this bird friendly, in particular, cocoa advocacy. Bird friendly coffee has been on the market for, I believe, 25 years. And the similarities that bird friendly coffee and cocoa share is that they're both models of agroforestry. So, in order to be bird friendly certified under this model of agroforestry, a commodity being grown has to have 40% shade cover, and the shade cover has to encompass from soil to the top of the canopy, and ideally a diverse species of native plantings, and it has to be concurrent with what's growing, so it's both are successful. It's not one or the other. And there is there's often less of the commodity being grown than if it were full some version of the same thing, but it allows for biodiversity to coexist with actually economically viable commodity of some kind, be it coffee or cocoa. So the farms that are certified bird friendly both share that 40% forest cover. So yeah, that's kind of what it boils down to as the basic criteria. In hand, there's the organic piece and transparent trade, fair trade, fair prices for the farmers. So when someone is purchasing bird friendly coffee or cocoa, they can know that it not only benefits migratory and endemic wild birds in the tropics where it's grown, but it also is purchased fair price by the growers. It's benefiting both people and birds, both of those
Right.
products.
Okay, so that actually goes down into a question about the certification process for cocoa farms. Yeah, they are the same as what Kirsten shared about the coffee certification through the Smithsonian. Let's go back because this kind of triggered like that thought process about something that you wrote, and it talks about conscious consumerism and how conscious consumerism can help benefit wildlife and the environment and birds. And so would that be considered conscious consumerism, is buying these bird-friendly products?
Yes, absolutely. My ambition for promoting bird friendly as an eco certification that is meaningful to consumers, that you get your money's worth. You experience pleasure from consuming it, and you also experience pleasure from knowing that your dollar went further and actually had some meaningful impact on wild bird conservation. It's if that's important to you, as someone who has a choice in what to buy. And certainly, as someone who cares about wild bird conservation, I'm willing to pay more for a higher quality product because these are higher end products. They're not they're not luxury products, but they're sort of like wine. You know, people will justify a higher price for something that they really enjoy and they want to consume every day. And
Sure.
coffee and chocolate are a little less, I don't know, problematic than wine, let's say, as a consumable. Certainly, the price points are often lower for coffee and chocolate over wine, and also wine is not bird friendly certified. So, but I'm just using that as an example for you
Right.
know what we might spend a little bit more on of something that we do buy and consume every day. I'm going to back up a little bit. So it's the cocoa that is bird friendly certified. So the other ingredients in these chocolates that I'll mention later, the brands that carry bird certified chocolate, it's the cocoa. So the sugar and the other infusions are not bird friendly certified. Those are separate commodities markets that have different growing practices that may not qualify for forest cover. It's a whole separate process of certification for each commodity. So if you buy a chocolate bar from these companies, there are often very few ingredients in the chocolate bars. They're single origin cocoa. So the single origin means that the cocoa is from one farm and advertised as such. And so there's that transparency in the origin of these chocolate bars. And this is a story you get with these finer chocolates that you don't get with grocery store chocolate like Hershey or Nestle. Most of the cocoa in those chocolates are from more conventionally grown cocoa farms, full sun, with this monocrop. And those landscapes cannot be restored to potentially be bird friendly. It's just those landscapes are lost for that potential. So it behooves consumers to know about bird friendly as a opportunity as soon as possible, and to start supporting those farms that are now bird friendly. Because if we give them reason to stay certified as such, we're supporting a meaningful eco certification
Right.
that keeps the dream alive.
Right. Well, I mean, honestly, if I walked into, any shop or store and they had a row of chocolate bars and I noticed on the label of one of them that there was the bird friendly certification from the Smithsonian, I would, of course, as a birder, pick this up. But also, just as someone who loves wildlife or someone who tries to make smarter choices about the environment and wildlife, even as a non birder, would shift towards that chocolate bar that had that certification on there.
Yeah.
And I would hope that other people would do the same. But, that's why we're doing this podcast. And that's why we are trying to get the word out there about these bird friendly food products, is so more people are aware and more people
Yeah.
will join the flock, as we
Yes,
say.
totally
Yes.
agree. Totally agree. And it's,
Join
you know,
the
it,
bird friendly flock.
yes, and I'm hoping too that the sort of there's a story behind bird friendly certification, and it is different than just being organic or just being and let me clarify that rainforest certified is not the same thing as bird friendly. Bird friendly is a much more robust certification program. It has a lot more heft. Bird friendly means bird conservation.
Right.
Rainforest certified doesn't actually mean much. Listeners are welcome to go read the fine print, but if they really want to put their money where it's going to have meaningful impact on bird conservation, bird friendly certified products are the ones to buy over anything that says that's rainforest certified. Also, shade grown
Yeah.
is not a third party certified term. It has about as much meaning as the word natural,
Right.
which is also not a third party certified term. So don't be fooled. The words natural and shade grown are greenwashing. They mean nothing.
Yes.
They are
Yes.
adjectives on a label. That's it.
Actually, that's how I found out about the bird friendly program last fall, was Googling bird friendly coffee and to find it in my area. And it kept coming up with shade grown this and shade grow that. And then I would search the package. I'm like, nope, that does not say bird friendly.
Yeah, good
And
for
that's
you.
what started me on that path. And then I ended up, in contact with, well, Kirsten Hill is who I ended up interviewing with. But, it took me a long time to go down that path, and I had to like jump over roadblocks to even find it because everything,
Yes.
I mean, had I settled for the brands that I found at my local grocery store, I would have been buying not bird friendly certified coffee, but thinking that I had.
Yes,
And
absolutely. I know
so,
it is so tricky. It is so
yeah,
tricky. I
yeah,
I even sent my own mother on an experiment with
yeah,
this exact, because she said, "Well, I get shade grown coffee and blah blah blah. Isn't that good enough?" And I was like, "No, okay.
yeah,
I challenge you to Google bird friendly and see what comes up." And when she Googled bird friendly, it was what happens is that what gets pushed to the top of any of those searches are the companies that pay for top placement. And
yeah,
so, unfortunately, Google associates shade grown and bird friendly in searches. And so that's
yes,
why you're getting this result. So I don't know a way around that, and possibly to put parens around bird friendly coffee, and so that it's not broken up as itemized words, but it's searchable by a single 3-word strand.
right, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know the answer either. I do know that you do have to do your homework. The only thing I can say is, people like you who are out there doing the writing and people like me who are out here doing the podcasting, I mean, we just have to put our heads together like we're doing and help get the word out there. So,
Yeah. Well,
um
I so appreciate your both, your realization of this as
yes, yes.
a need, and your initiative. So,
Yes.
we're partners in this.
Yeah, well good.
So, we've been talking about bird friendly cocoa and chocolate, and I'm sure everybody's mouths are watering, listening to us talk about chocolates, and they're thinking, well, okay, where can I find this chocolate and how does it taste?
Yes.
So the chocolate companies, they're US based.
Right.
So there's 4 that purchase cocoa from the so let me back up a little bit. There are multiple farms that are now bird friendly certified cocoa growers. The largest and the one to be certified first is called Zorsal, and it's a working bird preserve in the Dominican Republic. And then they conceived of an idea, as a way to support the preserve by growing cocoa and having it be the first bird friendly certified cocoa. So they enlisted with the Smithsonian and the American Bird Conservancy. So we now have a bird friendly certified cocoa on the market thanks to this bird preserve in the DR. So the companies that buy cocoa from Sorsal are Dandelion Chocolates in San Francisco. You've got Fruition Chocolates in the Catskills of New York. You've got Rocca Chocolates in Brooklyn, New York. And there's a fourth one called French Broad, and that's broad as in BROAD. And they're located in, I believe, North Carolina. So these 4 companies are fine chocolatiers, and they're independently owned. They're artisan chocolates. They're on the higher end special occasion chocolate market, and they're all chocolates that you can order online. So that's the key, is that they're accessible to consumers easily by purchase online. And they produce chocolate bars. They produce cocoa. Some of them produce more specialty items such as baking chocolate. Some of them are fully face forward for the bird friendly piece. You can search for it on their websites, and some of them are more subtle about it. So it really does vary from company to company. But those are the 4 companies that purchase from the bird certified cocoa farm Sorsal. And anything you purchase from them would be in the way of supporting a company that's supporting bird conservation, showing where the importance of where you want to spend your money. And if yeah, long story short,
Have
there.
have you tried any of these chocolates?
I've tried all of them.
All
Yes.
of them.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite?
I do have a favorite. I mean, this is it's just kind of a squishy answer. I like the baking chocolate medallions from Rocca Chocolate. So
Okay.
they're sourced exclusively from Sorsal. So it's Sorsal cocoa in these baking medallions. But I like they're both good to eat, as just by themselves, but I use them to bake with. I make chocolate chip cookies or brownies. Um, and I just think it's really cool that there's bird friendly chocolate for something as pedestrian as home baking. And
Right.
so
Okay.
I really like to promote that. But across the board, there's beautiful packaging. There's single origin call outs for Sorsal. Dandelion has a bar, as does Raka, which is who also produces those baking medallions. And Fruition Chocolate has a special occasion bar right now. This, as of this date, we're talking January 30th, 2025. It's a
Okay.
special release specifically. It's got the Bicknell's Thrush on the label, as well as the bird friendly certification, the Smithsonian trademark on the back of the bar. And it is, so this is the bar from Fruition Chocolate. They're the only chocolate company that has the Smithsonian bird friendly certification label on their packaging. The other three companies don't include it on their packaging.
Yes, I have noticed. I did do some searching in the last couple of weeks in trying to find it on the packaging. And I am curious, is do any of these companies offer hot cocoa that uses a bird friendly cocoa?
Yes, yes, Raka Chocolate
Rocco.
does. Yeah.
Okay.
So if you see on the Raka website, they'll always call out the origin of the cocoa, because
Okay.
Raka purchases cocoa from, I think, 4 or 5 different farms around the world. And if they indicate that the farm, that the cocoa is derived from the Dominican Republic, then it's probably Raka.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And some of their hot chocolates are out, it definitely contain the Raka cocoa.
Awesome. That's that's the
Sorry,
time of the
contain
year.
the Zorsal cocoa.
Or is that
Sorry.
right? Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I have that starred over here. I'm making notes while we're talking.
Oh, perfect. I want to mention too, maple syrup has
Yes.
got some. It's not an outright bird friendly certification, but it's the Vermont Audubon, with the oversight of National Audubon, has a program for bird friendly forests specific to the sugar bushes, which is where maple syrup is tapped. That's what they call those forests. It's an agreement that maple syrup producers sign with Vermont Audubon to reforest or to maintain a natural undergrowth and a diverse canopy from the ground up in these forests where they tap their maple trees, because oftentimes, with more conventional maple production, the forests are cleared out to make easy access for the lines that they use on these trees, and they don't want any obstruction. They just, everything's cleared out of there except for the maple trees themselves. So with these bird friendly forests, it's mostly smaller producers of maple products. It's mostly in New England. I don't know that there are any participating producers elsewhere in the US, but you've got producers in New York and Maine, Vermont, and I have sampled some of those maple syrups and they're delicious.
I bet.
Yeah, and you can find the information about those maple syrup products on the Vermont Audubon's website. And then, because a lot of them are smaller scale producers, they're not all the maple syrup is easily purchasable if you don't live in New England and you're not happening by the farm stand. So I had the experience of purchasing maple syrup online from a company called Couching Lion Maple Syrup, and they're a company outside of Burlington, Vermont, and they have a great website and lots of different products, including, this is kind of the piece of resistance, including a chocolate sauce made with Zorsal cocoa, sweetened with maple syrup.
Oh,
So
wow.
not
Could
only
you
bird friendly cocoa, but bird friendly maple syrup in one delicious chocolate sauce.
Wow. Could you restate the name of their company?
Yes, it's Couching Lion.
Couching Lion.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Not crouching. Couching Lion. Yes.
Okay. Great. I will add links to all of these in the show notes when the episode comes out. So our listeners can find these websites. All right. Do you have anything else to add that we haven't talked about for the bird friendly chocolate or cocoa or maple syrup?
Well, just I think we live in exciting times. I think
Yeah.
this capacity to enjoy some luxuries in life and directly support wild bird conservation has not really existed in our lifetime.
Right.
I
Yeah.
mean, we're really lucky that the Smithsonian Institute had this certification program, and that there are companies that want to be certified, and that there are organizations like American Bird Conservancy and Audubon that help facilitate this reality, and
Exactly.
that we now as consumers have to support it. The scientists and the conservationists have done all the front end work. Now we as consumers have to support the back end, which is
Oh,
buying the stuff. So, and
yeah.
it's delicious. So it's a
Yeah.
win-win as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. That's a lovely sentiment is that it's up to us, to do the purchasing. I mean, for coffee drinkers, we're buying coffee anyways.
Yeah.
For chocolate lovers, we're buying chocolate already.
Yeah.
And the same thing with syrup. Why not buy the product that benefits the birds that we love and adore?
Yeah. Yeah,
So
exactly. Exactly.
it just makes sense, but it's a win-win for
Yeah.
everyone. Okay, so the next item that they need to certify bird friendly is wine.
Yeah, that won't happen. Won't ever happen.
It won't. Oh no.
No. No. Yeah, that's a whole nother story.
I definitely have a lot of respect for the farmers down in Latin America that are doing this, that are taking the risks and the chances because it's wonderful. I'm just glad that there are people out there that are wanting to help the birds.
Yeah.
All right. Where can listeners find more information about you? Maybe about articles that you've written, maybe a website or blog or social media?
Yeah. Best place to find me would be at my website. It's just my name, bryanieangel.com. And I'm also on LinkedIn. I have a archive of my stories at my website.
Okay.
I post about latest publications and things like that, both through a mailing list if people want to sign up to hear about what I'm doing and producing, or where I'm speaking, that sort of thing. I also share that information on LinkedIn.
Great. I'll put your website in the show notes as well as any links that I find. And I have
Yes.
already signed up for your newsletter. So
Thank you.
everything I've read that you've written so far is profound and insightful and highly motivational. So
Oh, wow, thank you. Those are very kind words. Wow, I have
yes.
to say you are my ideal reader.
Well, in today's times, we need people like you that are out there writing profound and thoughtful and insightful content. So
I'm glad. I'm very glad to hear that.
yeah. Well, we thank you so much for being on the podcast today and sharing all this information about the yummy bird friendly chocolate.
My pleasure. It was really fun. Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed my sweet conversation with Bryony Angel. I don't know about you, but I found Bryony's passion and knowledge thought-provoking and inspiring. Be sure to check out her website and sign up for her newsletter. I'll drop a link in the show notes, as well as links to the yummy chocolatiers and maple syrup we talked about today. Oh, and a little birdie wanted me to remind you it's not too late to drop a hint to your loved ones that you would much rather receive a bird friendly sweet treat than flowers this Valentine's Day. As for me, I'm eagerly awaiting my hot cocoa from Rocca. I'll be sure to tell you all about it once I've tried it. Well, that's all I have for today. Until next week, I wish you well and joyful birding, my friends. If you are enjoying the Birding for Joy podcast, I would greatly appreciate it if you would subscribe to the show. Subscribing and tuning in to the episodes allows the algorithms on the platforms to know that the podcast is providing you worthwhile content and helps ensure the success of the show. Remember, the absolute best way to support your favorite podcast is by word of mouth. So make sure to share Birding for Joy with others who might enjoy listening. That way we can continue to build a joyful birding community. As always, thank you for tuning in, my friends.